P.O.L.
Hey, what up everybody, it's IntraVenus here, back with another episode of P.O.L. Game Review. And this is going to be another part to my PSP GEMS series. And this is several in now, so I suggest you check out the playlist. Today we're doing part 2 of the first-person shooter games available on the Sony PlayStation Portable. You can see here I have my PSP and what I find to be my favorite protective case for the PlayStation Portable, and it's the most versatile. If you haven't seen these and you want to know more, tell me in the comments. Today's first game we're going to talk about is Call of Duty Roads to Victory. Call of Duty is one of the most famous FPS or first-person shooter perspective video game series in the entire history of video gaming. And to this day, Call of Duty puts out a video game just about every year. Let's take a look at Call of Duty Roads to Victory.
We're pinned in good. We've got to find a way to get out of here. Where the hell?
Call of Duty Roads to Victory is a 2007 World War II first-person shooter for the PlayStation Portable, and a portable spin-off of Call of Duty 3 for consoles. It was released on March 13th, 2007, developed by Amaze Entertainment, and published by Activision Publishing. It is the 6th portable installment of the franchise, and one of those was on the N-Gage. Roads to Victory is the first and only game in the Call of Duty franchise made for the Sony PlayStation Portable. The Nintendo DS has since succeeded the PSP in serving as the computing platform for newer related Call of Duty games until the release of Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified, which was released for the Sony PlayStation Vita. A free voucher code for the game was actually included with purchase of Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified, allowing you to play the game on your PlayStation Vita, which I actually did myself when I bought my copy of the game.
Too late! Watch that T-42!
So what do y'all think about Call of Duty on the PlayStation Portable? It's definitely old school, but controls well and plays as one of the smoothest FPS games on the Sony PlayStation Portable. Back in this time, most first-person shooters from games like Medal of Honor and Call of Duty were all based around World War II pretty much. And often you'll see in cutscenes in between gameplay actual footage from old television broadcasts and possibly documentaries and or news footage. I like the way the game plays, and I think it's definitely worth a try, as you don't have a whole lot of first-person shooter choices on the PlayStation Portable. Next up, we're going to take a look at Medal of Honor Heroes 2. Now, if you watched the previous part of these FPS PSP games
episodes,
you would know that I talked about the first part of this game. Now, the sequel, Heroes 2, ups the ante pretty much in every level. It has better graphics, the controls are better. Well, let's just take a look for ourselves. Here's Medal of Honor Heroes 2 on the plate. Medal of Honor Heroes 2 is a first-person shooter video game for the Sony Playstation Portable, and it was also released for the Nintendo Wii. It is the 12th installment in the long-running Medal of Honor series of World War II games. Each version of the game was built from the ground up for its respective system. Medal of Honor Heroes 2 is set in World War II, starting on the Normandy beaches, trying to control German bunkers and then moving on to secure a village in France. Now, the Wii version of this game actually featured up to 32 people on one server in multiplayer battle online. The PSP version is virtually identical in terms of multiplayer functions. The Australian version of the game has no multiplayer at all, which has been the subject of much criticism. So what do y'all think of Medal of Honor Heroes 2? Man, I wish I had access to good wireless internet back in the day and this game at the same time, because I would have loved to play some multiplayer on this. A lot of the games that I experienced multiplayer on when I did finally have access to Wi-Fi back in the day were games like Star Wars Battlefront 2 and SOCOM. Alright, next up we're gonna do Peter Jackson's King Kong. Yes, the video game's name technically starts with Peter Jackson, so if you're ever looking at it or looking for it in a library, you're not gonna find it under K for King Kong. Usually it's under P for Peter Jackson. This is one of the few games based on a movie that are actually pretty good in my opinion. It's also a first-person shooter for the most part. In this game, you start out in first person, and eventually you get to go and control King Kong himself. And at that point, you're in a third person perspective. But a lot of the game is in first person, and I played through this entire game on the PSP back in the day and beat it. And it's not the best as far as graphics are concerned, but it is fun, and I liked the story. I liked the movie at the time when it came out. It has voice acting from Jack Black in the game. It has parts in the game that you didn't get to see in the movies, as far as even creatures and enemies that were found on the island. You actually get to play as King Kong, which is fun. And I will tell you though, like at the end of the game, the very last level is so glitchy, it's almost completely broken. But the game was still fun to play. Let's go ahead and check out Peter Jackson's King Kong on the PlayStation Portable.
Are you alright, Jack? You don't look so good. You're turning green.
This game was released on many platforms, including the Game Boy Advance, Nintendo GameCube, Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 2, Xbox, Nintendo DS, Xbox 360, and of course, the Sony PlayStation Portable. The PlayStation Portable version came out in North America on December 20th, 2005. The game allows players to play as both Jack Driscoll and King Kong. Players use firearms and spears as Jack, and punch, grab, and use objects and or corpses as Kong to defend against and fight creatures on Skull Island. The King Kong segments are played from a third-person perspective, while the Jack levels are played from a first-person perspective. The game de-emphasizes the role of a heads-up display, with the developers explaining that this conceivably would help players to get further immersed into the game, although the HUD or HUD can be turned on in the settings. I played the full game without the HUD, and I did find it a little more immersive, and especially when you're playing with headphones on. And what that means is, instead of seeing the display on the screen of your health and your ammo count and things like that, your character will verbally express it. Like when he's reloading his gun, he'll say,
5 clips left.
or when it's time to reload, he'll say,
I need to reload soon.
So what did y'all think about King Kong for the PSP? Of course, it's a more graphic experience on the PlayStation 2, Xbox, etc. But playing a first-person shooter and as King Kong through an immersive style story like this on the PlayStation Portable was really fun for me personally back in the day when it came out. And I definitely think you should check it out. It has its flaws, but it also has its
really good stuff.
Next up, for our fourth game, we're going to talk about the sequel to another game that we mentioned in part 1 of the FPS PSP GEMS series, and that would be Coded Arms. This is Coded Arms 2. It's called Coded Arms Contagion. Let's take a look. Coded Arms Contagion is a first-person shooter video game developed by Russian studio Crete Studios, and it is the sequel to Coded Arms. Published by Konami, the gameplay is similar to the first game, Coded Arms. However, this time the player has only 13 levels, as well as a training level, with no random geometry, plus challenges which are available upon completion of a level. Full motion videos, storyline, and much bigger landscapes are present. The player has to collect special points to upgrade his armor, health, and weapons, and a new feature is included: the ability to hack computer panels, doors, and turrets. The game's levels are divided into 3 portions: Industrial Zone, Military Zone, and AIDA Core. The only step back compared to the previous title is the absence of ragdoll physics. my experience, I can't necessarily say this is better than the first game. I'm not entirely into the hacking that they mentioned that they brought into this version, but like I always say, there aren't a whole lot of options available for first-person shooters on the PlayStation Portable, and these are actually very unique to the console and the only way you can play them. So I think you should check out Coded Arms Contagion and tell me in the comments what you think about the game. Now for our final game, we're going to do something a little different, similarly to what we did in part 1 of our FPS games on the Sony PlayStation Portable. And that is, last time we talked about a mini, and that was Nova. Well, this time we're going to talk about a PS1 classic, which was one of the best things that you could do on the PlayStation Portable, is you can also play a lot of PlayStation 1 games. So at the end of this episode for our 5th game, I decided to pick Quake 2. Yes, you can play Quake 2 on the Sony PlayStation Portable, and it plays and controls pretty darn well. Especially the fact that when you play these PS1 classics on the PSP, there's a built-in menu when you hit the home button or the PS button where you can change controls, and basically you can choose to either use a D-pad for your control of motion in the game or the analog nub, and use the other one as your L2 and R2 buttons. For example, you could set your controls for main motion on your analog nub, and then you could press left on the D-pad for L2, right on the D-pad for R2, or up on the D-pad to press them both simultaneously. This sounds a little awkward, but it can actually work very well. And heck, if you want to play some first-person shooter perspective games on the PlayStation Portable, you can open up a huge library of games with the PSP PS1 classics. So let's take a look at Quake 2 on the PSP.
Terrestrial transmission coming from just beyond the asteroid belt in our solar system.
Contact with the colony of Mars will be re-established and have nothing to do with the impending arrival of the mysterious aliens.
The McCulloch space station has just been destroyed.
Quake 2 is a 1997 first-person shooter video game developed by id Software and published by Activision. It is the second installment of the Quake series, but not a direct sequel to Quake. The game's storyline is continued in its expansions and Quake 4. The soundtrack for Quake 2 was mainly provided by Sonic Mayhem, with some additional tracks by Bill Brown. The main theme was also composed by Bill Brown and Rob Zombie, and one track by Jur Seipolt. The soundtrack for the Nintendo 64 version of the game was composed by Aubrey Hodges, credited as Ken Razor Richmond. Now, according to the internet, if you look up game rankings, the PlayStation version of Quake 2 was rated the lowest in a 3-part comparison. The PC version, of course, rates the highest at 87% out of 100%. The Nintendo 64 version was at 81%. The PlayStation version was only 1% less, at 80%. Still, that's a 4 out of 5 star rating on a first-person shooter game that I think everyone should experience. Now, the Quake games are very much like the Doom games, but sort of like a sequel. And you can also look up and down. It adds more dimension and a different storyline and slightly different graphics than the Doom series. Now you'll see in this gameplay footage that I have removed the audio in the background. I also recorded gameplay footage with the background music, but I'm a little worried that I'll probably get dinged for copyright issues if I leave it in there. This game does have a great soundtrack, but it's a really good game, and it's actually very well controlled. The way I prefer to control it myself, and the way I was controlling it in this gameplay footage, was using the triangle button to look up, the circle button to look down, I think square is reload, and then X is fire. And then you use the L and R buttons as jump, and I think, you know, I don't even remember. It seems a little complicated, but you can make it all work out pretty well, actually. And the good thing about a game like this is you don't need to look up and down too often, and if you set it to auto recenter the camera after you've moved for a while, you're pretty good to go. Plus, to play Quake 2 on the go on this PSP looks great. It even looks great on the television, actually. So what do you think about Quake 2 on the PSP? I think it's really fun to play. And we have yet another part of the FPS series of PSP GEMS to visit. There are not only more PSP games that are first-person shooters, but there's a lot more PS1 games. Thanks so much for sticking around this long, and I really appreciate it that you did. If you like what I'm doing here, please hit the like and subscribe buttons, as it really helps me out and encourages me to make more videos. There's a lot more coming up soon, so stay tuned to hit that notification bell. And I'll catch you on the next episode.
Goodbye. 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 Bye. Bye. Bye.
Where I